hemorrhage. The next question, again, as I told you, a favorite of the examiners, carbohydrate metabolism during pregnancy is the first part, and this was 5 marks. Then how do you screen for GDM? In India was asked. So in India, we know we have to mention everything about DIPSI. And last is how do you manage once the patient is found screen positive? Matlab, once if DIPSI is positive, how will you manage? Make a stepwise management flowchart. So I picked up this flowchart from the DIPSI guidelines only. I'll show that to you. So the first thing is carbohydrate metabolism. Remember, this word is very important. Pregnancy is a diabetogenic state. Why? Because insulin resistance increases and anti-insulin like hormones increase, like estrogen, progesterone, HCG, HPL, all of these cause anti-insulin like action, and this effect is more in the latter half of pregnancy. Okay, so the basic principle I've explained. Remember, early pregnancy, there's an anabolic phase where pregnancy is relatively anabolic. There is increased glycogen stores, increased fat deposition. Okay, not so much change in insulin resistance. Okay, and basically the mother is storing energy in the form of glycogen, fat, protein reserves. But later on in pregnancy, what happens after 20 weeks? There is a catabolic change. The pregnancy becomes a diabetogenic state, and this happens mainly because of the hormones, like these hormones which are anti-insulinogenic. So this is what you have to explain primarily. Then you have to tell exactly what's happening. There is a state of fasting hypoglycemia and postprandial hyperglycemia. That is what usually happens. So pregnant women tend to have a lower fasting blood glucose, okay, and a higher postprandial or post-meal hyperglycemia is there. And this is because of physiological insulin resistance and delayed disposal of glucose from the maternal circulation. Also, and to compensate for the insulin resistance, there is more insulin secretion. So fasting insulin levels are going to rise. Also, postprandial insulin levels are also going to rise. Right? You can also mention about renal changes. There is, remember, physiological glycosuria because the renal threshold for glucose falls in pregnancy. So glycosuria alone is not used for diagnosis of GDM. So then a summary table is there where you can just go through one day before the exam, because physiology of pregnancy is an important topic. They can ask you heart disease, they can ask you, physiology of the heart, changes in the heart, physiology of blood, physiology of carbohydrate metabolism, protein metabolism. Usually one question comes from here, thyroid metabolism. Okay, then how do you screen for GDM? In India, we use the DIPSI criteria. Okay, remember the basic principle. It's a single step test. Fasting state is not required. It is a universal screening. So it's a one-step test. That means screening plus diagnostic. And it's universal screening. Universal means screening for all pregnant women irrespective of their risk factor. But why do we do this? Because India has a high prevalence and India has a low compliance. So that's why fasting has been done away with. You don't need the patient to be fasting. Who should be tested? Universal screening. Very important exam point. Universal screening has to be done. Okay, all pregnant women, irrespective of risk factors or any symptoms, you have to screen everybody. Now, timing of testing, remember, don't lose any opportunity. Whenever she comes, if she's come for the first time, even in the first trimester, do DIPSI. Okay, because you don't know if this patient is going to come back again. If she comes back again, of course, you will do ideally between 24 to 28 weeks. And in high-risk women, you can even offer another test at 32 to 34 weeks. Okay, so test at first contact. Right. And then how is the test done? We all know this. Irrespective of prandial state, give 75 gram glucose dissolved in 1 glass of water, 250 to 300 ml glass of water. Ask patient to drink within 5 minutes. No food intake during the test. After 2 hours, take a sample, measure the plasma glucose. Now, this could be a venous sample. This could even be a capillary sample with the glucometer. It doesn't matter. In fact, DIPSI encourages कि glucometer के साथ ही कर दो. We don't like tell the patient to come and collect the report tomorrow. It encourages point of care testing. वहीं पे test करो, वहीं पे report instantaneously will come. Tell the report to the patient. If it is more than 140, more than or equal to 140, she is GDM. So single value is diagnostic. Why non-fasting? Mainly because of, so the reason is the practical reason is patient will not come. Physiological reason is that in GDM, there is an impaired insulin response. So there's exaggerated hyperglycemia. So if non-fasting, if the patient is not fasting, it acts like a stress test for her. On top of that, you're giving her glucose also. Okay, advantages of DIPSI. This is again just to make the answer complete. If this is just a 2 or 3 mark, you don't have to write all this, just to complete the answer. Advantages: single visit, cost effective, suitable for busy areas, low resource settings, rural areas, because you can do a capillary sample also. Limitations are it has less sensitivity compared to the WHO or the IADPSG criteria, and it may miss mild patients with mild GDM. It is not globally accepted. It's only for India. Okay. Now, next question is, how do you manage your patient if found screen positive? Make a stepwise flowchart management. So this is the flowchart. This is taken from the National Health Mission guidelines, which also describes DIPSI in detail. Remember this flowchart. Patient comes with GDM. What is the first thing we do? We start her on medical nutritional therapy and give her a trial of 2 weeks. After 2 weeks, we do a 2-hour postprandial plasma glucose. PPG is postprandial plasma glucose. If it is less than 120, we are fine. We continue with the MNT, but every 2 weeks, she has to check her glucose levels. Although it's given once in 28, up to 28 weeks, once in 2 weeks. And after 28 weeks, she has to check her glucose levels every week. A postprandial glucose level has to be done. But if it's more than 120, it is an indication to directly start insulin. And every third day, she has to check her fasting and 2-hour PP. And her fasting should be less than 95 and PP should be less than 120. 1 second. Ria mama's message to see. Okay, she called also. I'll tell you, Abhi. So, what are we supposed to do? This is the same thing. The flowchart I've just explained in written. That is what is important to know. So start MNT and reassess after, because the question asks to write in a flowchart. So the main marks are for that flowchart. Once you write the flowchart, you can then describe the flowchart. Okay, write the target glucose levels. The target glucose levels for postprandial are 120. For fasting, it is 95. Right. So the same thing. These are your goals. Apart from that, you will assess for complications of diabetes mellitus. You will continue regular antenatal follow-up. You will assess fetal growth, complications, check for blood pressure, weight gain symptoms. Okay, and check all that, right? And delivery, when you plan delivery in GDM, we plan delivery after 39 weeks of pregnancy. Don't deliver before 39 weeks if the sugars are well controlled, because of the risk of respiratory distress syndrome, even at term in these babies. So we need to check, we need to deliver them after 39 weeks. Also remember that they should be checked again at 4 to 12 weeks. You're supposed to do a GTT, a WHO GTT, to check if they are actually diabetic or they were just gestational diabetes.